Should be topic number 8 is where has all the smoke gone for this guy? Have we become so desensitized to mass murder of black people that it doesn't matter anymore? Let's see what the link takes us to. Seems like it's a YouTube video.
This noon, the white gunman who targeted a Buffalo supermarket in a predominantly black neighborhood faced a judge this morning pleading guilty.
CBS News' Jenna DeAngelis joins us live in the newsroom with the breaking details out of court. Jenna.
Prison Mary, 19-year-old Peyton Gendron pleaded guilty to murder and hate-motivated terrorism charges in the horrific shooting. That's an automatic sentence of life in prison. This comes more than 6 months after he killed 10 people and hurt 3 others at the Buffalo supermarket. Gendron drove about 3 hours from his home in Conklin near Binghamton on May 14th and used a legally purchased semi-automatic rifle to gun down victims at the Tops Friendly Market. Authorities called the attack a racially motivated hate crime. Investigators say he wanted to kill as many black people as possible and chose the store because of its location in a predominantly black neighborhood. He was found to have ties to white supremacy and extremist ideologies. His defense attorney spoke at court this morning.
Our client pled guilty to every count of the indictment, with the full knowledge that he will spend the rest of his life in prison with no chance of parole. Though the federal case continues, his actions today ensure that there will be no state court trial and he will not appeal. This critical step represents a condemnation of the racist ideology that fueled his horrific actions on May 14th.
Reverend Al Sharpton released a statement saying, in part, his decision to plead guilty will deliver the family some justice, but it will not end the racism that drove him to kill in the first place. That horrific day was the byproduct of a white supremacy so blatant that its followers don't hide under a hood. They live stream their hate for everyone to see. Gendron also faces separate federal hate crime charges that could carry the death penalty. He has pleaded not guilty to those charges. Chris?
Jenna, thank you.
All right. Yeah, I did kind of forget about this situation. I fear I might be somewhat desensitized to the brutality that Africans in America experience because you're in America, right? With that said, Bakari, what say you? Where has all the smoke gone for this guy?
Hey, I'm gonna be honest. I ain't here because my son came here talking to me because Deion Sanders just then decided to leave Jackson State and he go to Jackson State, so he came in here talking.
Oh, and I
see. He still.
I wanted to bet $100 with.
All right, I heard Deion. Well, everyone kind of figured Deion wasn't going to stay there. He was going to go to a bigger PWI. But, yeah, I got to look up that story after I'm done here to see where it looks like he's going, et cetera, et cetera. With that said, observing immigrants, where has all the smoke gone for this guy? Have we become so desensitized to mass murder of black people that it doesn't matter anymore? What say you?
Yeah, I think we've become desensitized to a lot of things. I mean, every time I hear responses in society about anything moral, I'm like, aren't these the same people that just the other day was saying that Jeffrey Dahmer was cute? I mean, to me, in American society is so questionable overall, and we as a people here, we are short-sighted, short memory. I mean, a lot of it don't make sense. Yeah, the amount of smoke FBA had for immigrants, I didn't even see them put that kind of effort in this guy, and the others that followed. Because remember, he wasn't even the only one. Yeah, there was another white guy that came after that shot black people too. So it's so much so often that you start to lose, forget names like Dylan Roof and all those other people. Yeah, you can remember sometimes situations and can't even remember names. And those names, I think, should be remembered. You should remember these killers' names. But, it's America. At this point, it is America. And I sadly have to say that I've seen more energy and passion put into trivial topics like who started hip hop, or why black men have to comment about black women's wearing donkey hair and all this nonsense, than I see in self-preservation, or even preservation of children, and thinking about the future from the point of view of children. So yeah, we're desensitized, and I think at this point we don't care.
Marcus Garvey's, let me ask you a quick follow-up question. When it comes to things like the Buffalo shooter who killed a bunch of black folks, or Dylan Roof who killed 9 in a church, if the Africans in America aren't seeking retribution, should Africans from the continent, the Caribbean, the UK, etc., should those Africans step in and seek retribution?
That's a hard one, because seeking retribution should be, I guess, in the sense of um for a black person, like you're standing up for a black person, whether or not you are American or not. But the fact that black Americans, I think, have become so unfazed by it all. I mean, think about it. Like for me, I can't wrap my mind around how you could be living in the Jim Crow and the segregation and all that, and be inviting these same people to your cookout less than a generation. I mean, like, you know, I don't know. It just seems like Black Americans just want peace with Europeans, and they're willing to take it by any means necessary. Like, they're willing to overlook a lot of crimes and obvious things to invite these little suckers to their little cookout. So, me no. It's a hard one. It's a hard one.
Yeah, because that follow-up question basically touches on that. Like, should we be the avenger because we're all African, we're black first, right? If we're black first, then should we be the ones who, when I say we, I mean Africans of the diaspora minus Africans from America. Should any one of us really step up, and step out and take care of this business? Because that's also one of the complaints from them as well. They say, well, you Caribbeans, you Continentals, y'all ain't gonna do shit. You know what I mean? So I've wondered about that. Is it black first, where we don't care about these borders and these places of origin? It's just you harm the black person, we're supposed to all ante up and step to you. Which one is it? So I was just curious to see what you would have to say. I'm curious to hear what others have to say about it. Like, gas them up. What do you say about it?
Well, I mean, all one has to do is take the time to Google the Dred Scott case. The two legal decisions I think people should look at are the Dred Scott case, and then look at the what was the other case? It's coming to my mind. It was the one with the dang, what was the name of it? The civil, no, when he applied to affirmative action. Regents versus dang, what's the name? Yes, Bach or Bake versus Regents. So just look at the Dred Scott case, and then look at the Bach, Bakke versus Regents. It just tells you, and then read what so-called Justice Tawney said about Black people, the decision, right? And that's the de facto law of the land. So, there's no rules or rights that a white man has to respect or recognize for Black people in America. And that's just is what it is. And they know that Black people in America and worldwide, but typically in the United States, have energy to kill themselves because, we're our ops, but we don't have the energy to to fight the real gangsters, the congressmen and the heads of different, municipalities and positions of power in the United States. So, they gave the guy McDonald's. I mean, they got the guy Burger King after he killed these people in church. I mean, but this is the Moravian Indians all over again, the Moravian massacre all over again. So I don't know. It's how do you tell people? It's like, how do you tell a lion he or she is not free? And the lion says, "No, I'm free." It's like, yeah, you think you're free. You're on this so-called space, but they didn't put any bars, but they got these mirrors. They got this glass that you can't get out of. So yeah, I think black people need to just look at those two laws, look at those two cases, look at Bach versus Regents. That was in California, where they stopped the affirmative action. They basically said it's illegal, and then look at the Dred Scott case, and that basically tells you everything you need to know about being an African in America.
Thank you for that, Gas. Boy, you've heard everything everyone has to say, and I asked that kind of follow-up question. What say you to all of it?
I think that if we take lead from the people in position, instance, a person is married to a woman, or a woman is married to a man, based on how that person is treated publicly, their friends are gonna take notice of what's happening, and they're gonna take on the same characteristics of the person who is either the aggressor or treating the person kindly. For instance, what I mean by that is, if a woman, let me put it a little bit clearer, if a woman is talking crazy to her man and all her friends see that, they're gonna talk crazy to that man as well. You know what I mean? So, but if a woman is respectful of her mate and all her friends see it, they're gonna be respectful towards that particular gentleman as well. We look from the outside looking in, and we see what's going on, and we see the reactions of the people that exist within that space. So we take the lead of the people who is being applied, who the harm is being applied to. If the people in that situation is acting in a way that is nonchalant or indifferent, or they don't give a shit, why should the rest of the black world? But if the people in that situation put themselves in a state where they are at arms with what's going on in America, and they are doing something physically about it, then they will find not only support, but I feel like they will find sanctuary among the black world, because it's happened before historically. When the Black Panthers was doing what they was doing in America, there are many Black Panthers who went to African countries and found sanctuary. You know what I mean? Because they was actively doing something to thwart off the what was happening to them in America. But now I feel like the stance is indifference, not to everyone, but for many people. So the rest of the world is indifferent. You know what I mean? Like in the Palestinian situation where we just discussed, the Palestinians are fighting tooth and nail against what's happening to them by the Jews. So the rest of the world respond in kind. The people who are fair, you know what I mean? The people who see what's going on, see that the area is an apartheid state. They take a position and they say, well, I don't want to talk to you. You know what I mean? You doing things I really don't respect. And put it on another level, you know what I mean? I personally think that if a person is harmed in the United States, you know what I mean, a white person should not be safe on a continent or any place where a black man is in a powered position. You take a position, you take a stance, push the button, you say, well, if they are harmed here, they're going to be harmed there as well. But that may not happen. If you can't do that, I say that they should find sanctuary if you were to do something that is against the person who's doing something to you, well, come to my country. We're gonna protect you. No extradition laws for this individual. You know what I mean? But that's how I look at this, man. I think that we're gonna treat you like how you treat yourself. The world is gonna treat you all like how y'all treat yourselves. If y'all are indifferent, we're gonna be indifferent. If y'all are vociferous, if you all have some energy about it, we can have some energy about it too. You know, when George Floyd was murdered by that police officer, I remember seeing very clearly Nigerians protesting against that murder from the embassy. There are many Nigerians who was out in the street protesting against based on the death of George Floyd. They had energy. I don't know, man. I think that when this happened, we should have kept that same energy all throughout the case, even to his sentencing. And I feel like that energy has had kind of like subsided almost to a point to where people forgot about it. I got this particular clip from Forecast, I think, because Forecast remembered it. And he remembered to tell his audience about it, reminding his audience what was going on. And I think that these are things that we should never become desensitized to. Never. You know why? If we do, then you will see a complete genocide. Even though we committing genocide amongst ourselves, you would see the complete genocide with these people participating in our genocide as well. And I don't think that should go unnoticed or untalked about. And I think that it should be in our discourse and dialogue. We can't forget these kinds of things. You know, but I'll stop there.
Hey, can I say something now, Coco?
That was a good
Because I see what you're talking
about. Go ahead.
No, you know what? So stuff like that Buffalo shooting, I don't think it's desensitized. The black people has become, you know the word, it can come out. I think it's more cowardice, right? And let me explain. Do y'all remember when that white boy, I can't even think of his name, shot the other white boys in the streets in Wisconsin? During after the
Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah. See, I'm one of the few people that saw the goodness in that. Black people all on YouTube complaining about white supremacy. I'm like, what the hell did that have to do with black folk? But when I seen it and they complaining about white supremacy, you know what I saw? Because I'm a gun owner. And shit, I got AR-15s, and me and my sons, we train. Got AR-15s. I got 9mm. I'm a gun owner, and I love to shoot, right? And we'll use it, right? Only don't want to use it on my people, but I will if I got it. But anyway, I said, why they complaining about this dude? Talking about the white supremacist is helping him, but which I thought was absolutely crazy. But anyway, we need to know this rule. For anybody that want to fight back, should have been hoping Kyle Rittenhouse got off. And the reason they should have been hoping Kyle Rittenhouse got off, if you're truly interested in fighting back, you're going to have some type of weapon on you when you go in march and say you have to defend yourself, right? When I went down there in Atlanta, me and my son, shit, I didn't have my ARs, but I had my 9s right there on my side. And just in case I have to use them, right? So it's not, they're desensitized, they're afraid. There are too many black men is afraid, and that's the problem. If I ignore it, it might not happen to me and my family. If I ignore it, if I can just ignore it, act like I've forgotten about it in 2 weeks, it might not happen to me and my family. Let's just say it's an isolated incident. That's the problem. They're not desensitized. They're afraid. They're absolutely afraid. The same reason they went out of, y'all remember during the election when Donald Trump was going against Jim Crow Joe. All on CNN, they had white militias everywhere talking about supporting Donald Trump. Black people never said one thing about the white militias marching and supporting Donald Trump. You know who they got on YouTube? You know what they got on social media and disrespected? They got on YouTube, on social media, and disrespected the NFAC. Thought of every reason to disrespect 5,000 black people marching, suited and booted, bulletproof vest up, guns and bullets. Thought of it, but they never once said anything negative about the white militias. They said something negative about the black militias because of cowardice. They're not desensitized. That fear is still there. Fear is a hell of a way to have control. In black people who talk about how much they hate white people, and I'm not mad that they do if they do. They're never around white people. So they take their hate out on one another. So they're so afraid of the other people, anybody except black people. Who do we end up fighting? We end up fighting one another because of the fear of other people. That's my take. I get it, Mike.
I appreciate that, Bakari. For time's sake, let me go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 9. This is one for gas them up as well.